Hello, and welcome to episode 46 of Cooking with Unity. I'm your host, Maximilian Moreau. Unfortunately, Philip Wilson, my tech, is not in today, and that's mostly because I screwed him up with my schedule change because I was sick on Monday, and he had to help some family out today. So sorry that you're not going to get to see Phil tonight, but he will be returning next Monday. Or this Monday. I don't know. The one that comes up, next week when we do the show. Or when we usually do the show. So, for this episode, we're working on the pinball machine still. What we had last time here is we have a machine working, we've got a little launcher thing, we've got a bunch of test balls in here, so there's kind of multi-ball hell right now. And we've got it so that we can kind of like shoot the balls around, and it's got a little bit of a feel to it. It's not perfect, there's some minor physics problems and stuff. But we're going to focus on actually completing this as a game today. And what I mean by that is we're going to be adding a score manager to handle our score systems, and we're going to start with that. And then we're going to have a ball manager for handling our balls. What we're going to do for that is just like a lives manager in any other game where we just have 3 balls. Although we're going to set it up in such a way that it will allow us to do multi-ball without too much headache. Because generally in pinball, you don't lose when you lose a ball, you lose when you lose all your balls. So let's start with score. So I'm going to create a new script, C# script called Score Manager. And we're going to, oops, open the wrong one. We're going to go into the Score Manager here. And this is going to basically just contain our scoring data, and there's a few different ways we can do this. I'm going to be simple on it. In a full-blown game, if you have multiple tables and you might want to carry a score over or something between multiple rounds and stuff, you're probably going to want to make this into a singleton. We're not. We're just going to make it into kind of a little class that just has some public access static variables so that you can just ask the class for its variable score or add something to the score or whatever. So we're going to that's all this is basically going to be. So this doesn't even really have to be a mono behavior, technically. Yeah, let's have some fun. Let's not make this a mono behavior. We're just going to call it Score Manager, and it's not going to derive from anything. So we're not going to attach this to a object in the game. This is just a script that only runs as a script. We haven't done this on the show too much. It's not much more interesting other than don't expect to have some of the methods. Like you don't get an update loop if you want a mono behavior, so you have to figure out another way to do the updating. Yeah, actually, let's not do this. We're just gonna make a mono behavior. I was just thinking about all the things that I would assume that we have access to that we don't have for that. So we're gonna make a mono behavior, but we're not gonna put a lot of stuff in here yet. As a matter of fact, all I'm gonna put in here is public static int score. That's all we're going to put in there for right now. And I'm going to do, actually, I lied, we're going to put a little more in there. I'm going to just display the score on screen in a very simple method. So, void on GUI. We're just going to do GUI layout dot label. GUI layout dot label. How does this work? String text, so we'll just do score.toString. And I think that's actually all we need. And so this should, and I'm just going to default the score to 0. And so if we attach this to a game object, I'm going to create a new empty game object, and we're going to call it Score Manager. And I'm going to put a little $sign in front of it just because that way it'll show up at the top so that we can sort our game control stuff at the top here. So I'm going to hit play, and it didn't appear to... Okay, so on GUI, is that actually what it's called? Void on GUI. Alright, let's look at that real quick. On GUI Unity. On GUI. So why is that not printing out a score in the corner here? I'm going to just resize my window in case it's doing something weird. No? Let's see here. Is there some trick with this? On GUI. I would have expected this to work right here, but it's good that it didn't work because now we can figure out why it didn't work. So out of curiosity to see if this is even being called, I'm going to try, what is it called? Debug.log score made it here. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's all we're looking for. And it did not say that, so that means, oh, we didn't attach it to the object. Of course, that's what it means. That's always what it means. So we attach it to the object, we hit play. There we go, 0. We've got a score in the corner here. Perfect. All right, so I'm just going to make it look a little bit more pro by making it look like this. We're just going to add a quote here and add it here. We're going to call it score. And then we're going to hit play again, and it should say score. Excellent. So now all we need to do to add points is to just add stuff to the score method, to the score integer here from another class. So let's create a C# script called actually let's use one of the existing ones we have here. So we've got this bumper one. Let's make it so the bumpers have a score value. So let's start with that because this is the simplest one. So we're just going to say public int score value is what I'm going to call it. No, score value. I'm going to default this to 100. And then all we're going to do is on collision enter, we're going to additionally, so this is the thing that bumps whatever has collided with it around. And then we're just going to add to the score. So we're going to do score manager dot score plus equals score value. So now if we hit play, you should see that when the balls start hitting the bumpers here, these little puck things, they should start adding to the score, hopefully. There we go. They added to the score just fine. That was awesome. So we already have a little basic score system, and it's working. That was fast. Other than me not attaching the script in the first place. So, so we have a score manager, and we have a score system. Let's fix the other ones here. So we have the drop targets. Let's look at those. So let's make it so we have 2 score values on these ones. So public int single score value equals, we're going to call it 100 on these as well. And then we're going to make a public int bank value equals 1,000. Actually, let's make it 5,000. Let's make it ridiculous. So what this means is, as you saw before, we have these drop targets. When you complete a bank, they all pop back up. If you've played pinball, you've probably dealt with these before, and generally you get a bonus for dropping them all. It might also initiate more game logic and stuff for a really fancy pinball machine table, but we're not going to be doing that probably. So, but you could basically do it in the same way that I'm doing it here with the score. So when we do the this thing, all we need to do is so reset bank. So this checks to see if it needs to reset the bank, and then if reset banks, reset all the drop targets. So on the reset is what we're going to do for the 5,000 points. So we're going to do score manager dot score plus equals bank value. Actually, I'm going to call this just target value and bank value. And then finally, so we need to drop the target here. So right here is where we put our scoring for the 100 points. So when you drop the last target, you'll get 5,100 points, really. We could modify that if you didn't want to. Like, one of the easy ways would be just to call this 4,900, or you could make it so that it doesn't actually score the 100 on that. I actually wanted to score both. I think most pinball machines would do it that way, but it's hard to notice. So, so we're just going to do score manager dot score plus equals target value. So now, if we hit play, we should get 5,000 real quick because of the ones going on there. 500,500 actually. That was pretty good. Oh, and we're getting a lot of them because they were just trapped back there. So yeah, so we have a scoring system. We've got a lot of points on the board now, and I'm going to try and complete that bank on the left there for the big bucks. Here we go. Did it? I think it did. I don't know. Here we go. It's going to complete. There we go. Yeah, big bucks. All right. So that works. We have a scoring system that was really easy. All right. So we of course made it really simple. Let's change the way that it displays a little bit. So I just really, this is about as simple a scoring method as you can make. So all this is a static int that represents your score. I made it static so that you can access it from other classes, so that if you want to change the score, you just do what we did there. We just do score dot score plus equals value. Some people do it with functions where they'll have an add score function. We've done that in the past actually on the show. And the other thing you can do if you don't like functions, you can actually set up properties, which basically allows this to have some get and set logic, which we might do in a second here on the show, just to show you how to do a count up type thing. So but what we're going to change here is the GUI thing. So right now we're just using onGUI. This is great for debug work, like if you just need to find out what a value is or just get a score on the screen, this will work for you. But it doesn't look great. It's just the text in the corner of the screen. So what I want to do is I want to actually make kind of like a real pinball back glass system here. So we're going to create a cube like we usually do. I'm going to call this the back glass. Which one is this? Okay, it's this cube. Back glass. And this is going to be a big cube compared to our other cubes here. So let's make it 20. How wide across is this? It is 20, perfect. So 20, and let's make it 20 up. And let's keep the Z at 1. So we have basically this back glass thing to work with. I'm going to actually position it near the playing field a little bit. Actually, that looks pretty good. Just make it an even 9 there, and actually let's make it 10 so that it actually lines up nicely. And I'm just going to create a real simple material here so that we can have some contrast. I'm just going to make this thing black for right now. I'm just going to call this black. And we're going to make it black, and we're going to attach it to the backboard here. And we're going to hit play. So now we have this backboard type thing. You'd want to put your own like pinball type art on there or whatever. So what we're going to put on this thing here is we're going to put a component. Where is it? Actually, it's in create other. 3D text. So what this is text that exists in the world. The default shader actually renders on top of everything else, no matter where it is, which I can show you how to fix at another time. I'm not going to deal with that right now. You can search for text shader depth online, and you'll probably find the solution to this. But as this is always going to be visible anyway, it doesn't matter. Like you're not even going to notice the problem here. So let's take this hello world. So first of all, the default settings for text is terrible. Because it's all blurry and horrible. So the first thing I do is I make the font size 100, and then I actually make the size here 0.1, 0.1, and I just leave the Z alone because it doesn't matter. So we have this hello world text, and now it looks actually like good text. Let's also, while we're at it, why not? Let's just see if I can get royalty-free digital font. Let's just get a neat little digital font is not what I want. Let's just try this. Royalty free fonts, fine. Nope, 8. I don't want 8 fonts. I want 8 fonts. Alright, where can I download free royalty-free fonts? Alright. Digital. I just want this to actually look neat. So here we go, we got some here. Let's say what these... Free for personal use. That'll work for us. Don't make a professional game using this, though. So I'm going to download that. Come on. Send that request. Okay, well, while that's figuring itself out, I'm just going to get this positioned and stuff. So, we're going to put the Y. We'll figure out the Y later. Z on this one. Let's do 25 even. Let's go back to our text. And put this one at 25 even. And put the Y. Let's see. So we're going to make this anchor center, middle center, and anchor alignment center. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger now. Let's scale this up a little bit so we can see a bit better. So let's go 0.2, seems pretty good. And is this thing downloading yet? Yes, it is. Actually, I really wanted to choose where to download that to. So we're going to throw in Digital 7. We can just drag this in. And I think if we just drag this onto the Hello World... No, that's not that easy. Let's look back at the Hello World again. Forgot what this is actually called in the... Is it just GUI text? New text. Here we go. Let's call this the score. So, font. Let's see what happens if we change this font to Digital 7. Perfect. That worked out. And can we change the material? We can change the color, right? No, we can't change the color. Wait, really? How do you change the color then? Oh, maybe it's because we need to actually create a font material. Okay, let's try this. We're going to go to Material, Font Material, and we're going to call this, it's a special type of thing that we need here. So we need, text shader, GUI text shader. And we're going to make the text color orange. Get a nice amber orange in there. Yeah, I like that. That's good enough. And let's see what happens if we apply this to our Hello World text. Okay, so that didn't quite work, and the reason that didn't work is we need to apply texture to it, so we just drag this font texture into here, and now we have a custom colored font. I'm glad I actually did that because I thought that that was actually simpler to do than it evidently is. And let's make this a little bit deeper orange and a little bit brighter overall. I don't know. Actually, I liked it better this way. Okay, so there we go. So let's go to our score manager script and let's change this. I'm just going to get rid of the on GUI thing here, and we're going to add a public game object. Actually, let's do public GUI text. Actually, that's not what it's called either. What is this thing actually called? We got a score here. Text mesh. All right. Text mesh score. I'll just call it display. And then we're going to do void update. And all we're going to do is display, if display display.text equals score.toString. And is there a way to... Alright, so let's see how this looks first. If we just hit play... Oh, we don't need to hit play yet. We need to make sure that the top glass... No. Where's the score manager? Oh yeah, it's up here. Score manager needs a display here. We're going to throw our score in here. And if we hit play, it should show 0 up there. And then it centers it and it adds values and stuff. And it kind of looks like a pinball machine a little bit. Now, there's a couple problems you've seen here. It's center justified, and the score is going up, and it'll just take up more space if it needs to take it up. In a real pinball machine, you'd probably want to fill out the space with zeros. And it's easy to do that, though I don't remember exactly offhand how to. So let's look it up. What do we got here? Hello world. Oh yeah, we want to do those leading zeros. So I'm going to search for C# leading zeros string formatting. How to pad a number with leading zeros. Alright, so DN is the value for format parameter, where N represents the minimum length of the screen. Alright, so all we do here is just put a quote in here, D, and then let's make it an 8 segment. So if we hit play now, there we go. We have our 8 segment display here. And actually, I'm going to tell you right now, I hate that font we got. And the reason I hate it is because, you see how it's moving all around? It's because it's not a fixed width font. I am just going to leave it for now, though. I don't want to spend all of our time font hunting. But if you want it to look exactly right, you definitely want it to be fixed width for something to emulate a old school digital display board there. So we can do the same thing with the balls. We'll do that in a second here. One of the things I want to point out, so we can see the score, and actually for this game this would actually probably look just great for having the score there. One of the things I like having an actual back glass that is interactive. Like a few of the pinball games that have come out they show the back glass, but it doesn't really show much happening on there, and then they just have an inset that actually has the real score stuff here. I like it better to have it on there, but I also like to be able to see the score really clearly. As I said, in this case we can see it pretty clearly. But one of the things you can do is you can have a picture-in-picture kind of thing with a zoom-in of your display, and that way you can keep it live in real time and all cool and stuff. But you can also, what was I going to say? But you can also see it no matter how small it was, or even if you cut it off. So if you have multiple camera angles, maybe one of the camera angles doesn't show the score. This camera can always show the score, and then we'll place it on the screen in one of the corners. So let's do that real quick. I'm just going to create a new camera, although I'm kind of liking this position we have here. But let's actually look at our thing here. I'm going to create a camera right here. And I'm just going to position the screen in such a way here that it looks about the way we want it. So, how do I actually pan over? So let's take up as much of the space as we can. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click our new camera. Where's our camera? So here it is. We're going to call this the score camera, and this is we're going to align with view, so now it sees what we see, and we're going to set up the render stuff. So its depth is 0. I think by default the initial main camera has a -1, so that's perfect. So this renders after our main camera, and we're just going to set the viewport size a little bit differently. So we're going to put it in the upper left, I guess. I don't know. I'm just going to see what happens when we set these values low. I'm just going to do 0.3 and 0.2 here. And I'm going to hit play. So now we have a score thing. It's not much bigger than our existing score, but we can zoom that in a little bit. In the corner here, I'd rather have it in the upper left-hand corner. So let's put the Y up here to 0.8. Hit play. And so now we have it in the upper left-hand corner. Again, it's kind of redundant because we have this thing there. Let's make it a little bit smaller. So 0.2, 0.15 maybe. And we have to readjust this accordingly, so that this would be 8.5 if we want it to be directly in the corner. And let's actually zoom this in a little bit. So we're going to look at our camera here, and all I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to run this and look at our score camera and move it forward until we have the whole score in there kind of nicely. I'm also going to change the orientation so that it's directly forward. And we can adjust these values a little bit, 4.5, and there we go. So now we have a nice big score in the corner there. So, and I think that, so 0, 4.5, 22 point, why is this 22.24? Oh, 22, let's just do 22. So 4.5, 22, 0, 0, 0. 0, 0, 0, 0, 22, did I say 5? 4.5. There we go. So now we have our little score system there. So, score system is done. I'm going to call that a complete system for right now. So let's work on a ball manager. So before I do that, let's actually do some cleanup work. I've been kind of neglecting it on this project, so let's create a folder. We're going to call this scripts, and we're going to get all scripts in there. And there's probably another one down here. Oh, there's not. And let's create a folder for the prefabs. Put this in the root somewhere. We're going to put our prefab objects in here. And that cleaned it up enough for my own personal edification. You're welcome to you're welcome to sort everything else out too if you want, but that's what we're going to just start with. I just mainly wanted to clean it up a little bit. So, we're getting this warning. There's 2 audio listeners in the scene. That's really easy to solve. All we do is we go to our camera that we added, and I'm going to get rid of the flare layer. I'm going to get rid of the GUI layer, and I'm going to get rid of the audio listener because we don't really need any of those features. And so if we hit play, it should still show our thing there. Okay, good. Everything's still working. Yay. So, is there a way we can force fixed width on the fonts? That would just be too easy, wouldn't it? I just want to check real quick. So if we go to the score here, there's no like, yeah, there's no character size. What does this do? Ah. Okay, well, good enough for me. So we've got a score. We're going to create a new script called Ball Manager. And we're going to double click this. And so this is mainly going to be managing the game over condition, basically, and respawning balls and stuff. So the Ball Manager, we're going to need access to what we define as a ball. So public game object ball. We're going to need a public static int what should I call it? Let's just call it ball count. Let's call it lives. And default this to 3. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create an update loop, void update. And we're going to have to do some setup in the actual editor here, but I'm just going to assume that we get that setup done eventually. So if game object dot if not game object dot find game objects with tag ball. So basically, if there is not a ball in the scene, then we subtract a life, lives minus, and we are going to have to figure out where to spawn the ball. So I'm going to use yeah, we'll do a public let's do public transform spawn position. Put this up here. So lives minus, and then we do instantiate ball spawn position ball dot transform dot rotation. And we're not going to worry about checking to see if the lives are 0 yet. We're just going to see if this works first. So in order for this to work, okay, so we got a problem here. Oh, spawn position dot position. Did that fix that problem? All right. So that was problem was before is spawn position is a transform. This actually wants a vector 3, and so transform.position is your vector 3 that describes the actual world space of the object. So we have this ball manager. We're going to create a new empty game object called ball manager, and again I'm going to put the little $sign in front of it because I like to do that for organizational reasons. And we're going to actually attach the ball manager script. And our ball, so here's the point where we're going to actually clean up our balls a little bit. That sounded bad. I'm going to get rid of all of them except for this one. I'm just going to command click this and hope that it actually deselects it. Or, come on. No, that would just be too easy. Okay, well, it deselected. It happened to be the bottom one. Good. So I'm just going to delete all these extra balls. We're going to actually create a prefab for this ball. And actually, to test this, let's actually delete the ball from this scene. Let's make sure that our prefab ball is actually tagged as a ball, so we need to add this. So add tag. Going to call it, so we want to add just ball here. And then we're going to go back to our ball and actually set it to ball. And then we're going to need a place to spawn these. So I just actually spawned our ball in here. I'm actually just going to rip out the components in here. Remove component, remove all this stuff. We're just going to make this into an empty game object, basically. We're going to break the prefab instance so that it doesn't think that it's still part of that ball prefab. So we're going to do break prefab instance here. And then finally, we're going to make sure this is not tagged as a ball. I'm just going to set it back to untagged. And we're going to use this. This is going to be called the ball spawn position. And we're going to throw this into our ball manager script here for the spawn position. We're going to throw our ball in here. So now theoretically, the moment the game starts, it will find nothing that's called a ball, and it should spawn our ball into position. So if we hit play, bam, we have our ball, it spawned into position. Now, if we let the ball drain, it's actually not going to work as nicely as we'd like it to just yet. So I'm just going to let it drain, and you'll notice that nothing happens. Now, the reason nothing happens is because the ball is actually still there. If I was to actually click on the ball, it's probably dropping too fast for me to see it very well, but it's way down. Oh, I saw it flash for a second. Yeah, it's right there somewhere. And so it's just going to fall forever. So we need to make sure that the ball actually gets destroyed when it goes off the table. So I'm just going to really simply do that using our old standby of destroy on invisible. And all this is going to do is void on became invisible. This is one of the mono behavior calls that you can override. This call is basically called every time that anytime an object is no longer being rendered by any camera, it calls this. So all we do is just destroy game object, which no, lowercase game object. It matters. We're not destroying the class, we're destroying the instance. So that should be all we need for that. We just throw this on our ball prefab. Now if we hit play, we can launch the ball, and we'll watch this thing kind of do its thing. Come on. It's going to hit everything on the way down. It just has to. Actually feels like a pinball. Alright. So it falls off, and there we have our new ball. And we can launch a ball again. So our basic ball manager is already working. Now we just need to make it so it actually pays attention to the number of balls you have left. And actually displays them in some way. So I'm going to actually go ahead and put create a duplication of this score. And we're going to call this the balls remaining. And we're going to just move it down. And then our ball manager, we're going to go back into this. We're going to add a public game, text mesh display. And if display display dot text equals ball lives dot toString, and then let's actually say balls. Now let's do it all caps because it'll look more right with that font. Then we put the plus here so it actually concatenates the string together, and then we hit play, and nothing happens because we didn't hook in this thing yet. So we have the ball manager, and we want the balls remaining to be the display here. Now you notice it didn't give us any errors. That's because we actually checked to see if we hit anything in here before. So that's nice. There we go, balls 2. And we need to adjust our little camera here again. So we're going to go to our score camera. We're going to move it down just a little bit. So 4, is that good? It's actually just about perfect. And so just do 4, and then finally we're going to do, actually let's do 3.9. And I'm going to put space here so that it fills out a little bit better. There we go. So we have our balls remaining thing. It doesn't say 3 balls remaining because we deducted it immediately. It's your prerogative how you go on that. I typically like it so that 0 means that you are on your last ball. So this system will do it that way. So, but as I said right now, if the ball dies, like it should actually decrease this. So let's see if that actually works. It does, and it respawned the ball. Perfect. So let's actually make it so it does not spawn balls anymore. If if lives is less than 0. Display.text equals game over. And let's actually put the if display here, just so that if we don't have that set, we don't get any errors. I don't know, maybe you might want errors in that case just so that you know why it's not working, but I like to check this for whatever reason. So display.text game over, so it'll just say game over instead of where the ball's there, and then let's actually have a public bool game over equals false. So if we don't find a ball and it's not game over, then we instantiate a ball and we reduce lives. Otherwise, so if alright, so this will no longer instantiate or subtract lives, so that should be good for that. So we want to say game over equals true. And then finally, if game over if input.get key, we'll just do get key down, enter. Actually, let's do return. Then we will reset the game. So we'll just do. What are we doing here? So reset the game. What's the easiest way to do that? Probably just reload the level. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do the cheap method here. So application.load level. Application.current, no, dot level, loaded level, there we go. And we need to make sure to actually, oh, we don't need to do anything else because it just reloaded the level. So we hit play here, hit enter, nothing happens, I shoot a ball, and it dies slowly. And then we shoot another ball. And it dies. And then we shoot one more ball. And it says game over. It still spawned another ball, and I can still play though. So that means that something didn't go right. Let's see what happens when we drain another ball here. Maybe it's just the final one for whatever reason. Spawns in. Okay, so that actually did work for the final one. So let's see why that didn't work before. So, oh yeah, it's because it does this first. So let's check this first. Check for game over. Ball has drained and game is not over. Update balls remaining, and finally reset game with return key if game is over. So we hit play, and we try this one more time. It's kind of a long test. I guess we could change the number of lives that you start with, but I'm not going to. Oh, come on. And it's not going to go back in there because we put that one-way thing in there. I'm very happy that we did that. I'm actually kind of happy with how this game has turned out, honestly. It's actually feeling pretty good. Actually has game logic now. I don't know. I just liked seeing games shape up a little bit. So, oh, didn't detect game over. Weird. Huh. I'm just gonna let this drain and see what happens. So it doesn't say game over, even though it says balls -1. If I hit enter, does it reset? So I think enter actually is resetting the game right now. Oh, it's because it's a static int, so we still have to reset the lives. So, so because I use a static int here that we can do... Actually, since this thing handles everything locally, I'm just going to make this regular int. So since all the logic here for the balls is handled here, we don't need to make that static. So that'll solve the lives problem, I think. Though I don't understand why the display text wasn't showing game over. Because lives is definitely lower than 0. Alright, well, let's try it again with that small change here. So hit enter, nothing happens, good. Maybe I should wait before I launch it just so that there's less momentum to work with to bleed off. And one more. This is the reason why people ask for testers for their games, because even when you have a simple project, just testing something can take more time than you want it to take. So is that -1 again? Do we have any console stuff here? Nope, just stuff that we have from our previous stuff. Where is this actually? Let's get rid of all these things because we got this working. Don't need these anymore. Let's save that out. Let's see. So if lives is less than 0, if lives less than 0, that's what this says, right? If display, which we have a display, I'm pretty sure, right? If we go to ball manager here, we have a display. Here it is. Put debug log, debug.log, game over and display. So I'm going to just really quickly change this to 1 life so that we only have to wait for 1 ball to drain this time. Let's give this a shot. Why did that not... It still says balls 2. Oh. That's because we have to actually change it here. So let's change it to 1 here. Let's change it back to 3 here. Because actually I'd like the default to be 3. And then let's hit play again. There we go. So it says 0 balls, good. Because we've already deducted 1 from spawning it. And -1 balls. And it says game over display here. Oh! Duh. Alright. This is stupid. So, the reason this didn't work is because we're setting the display text to game over. And, wait. Oh, here we go. So we update the balls remaining here. So let's actually put this inside of here. So that was actually being called afterwards. So the display was always being updated with the wrong text after the fact. So if we hit play now, it should actually properly say game over when the game is over. Yay, game over. And then if we hit enter, it resets. Enter does not reset right now. Yay. Okay. So let's go back to the ball manager, change the balls remaining, the lives to 3. And we hit play. There we go. So that's a pinball game, basically. So for the next episode, I'm going to work on this one more time. I think we may just do a filler episode, but I have some art stuff that I want to show on this. The trick with it is it's not really Unity when we're doing art stuff, but I want to show you guys basically how to get things imported and modeled and stuff, so that you guys understand how to do kind of an art pass on this stuff, because it doesn't always have to look like cubes and cylinders and stuff. We can make real art in other programs and then import it. Unity's really great at that. As a matter of fact, it's intended to use that. So next episode, we're going to do an art pass probably, and so I am going to wrap it up right now. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, email me at pushypixels@pushypixels.com. You can also tweet me at Dracfire. Phil's not here today, but I'm still going to say that you can contact him at philip@protosoftworks.com, and on his Twitter as @magmalemur. And you should buy his game Automation, and you should buy my game Proton Pulse. Thank you very much, and sorry for the late show, and you guys have a great rest of your week.